Welcome to this video. Today I'm going to share a story that most people have never heard before. It's about an empire that ruled for more than 600 years across 3 continents: Europe, Asia, and Africa. An empire of sultans, warriors, palaces, betrayals, love, and blood. This is the true story of the Ottoman Empire. You don't need to be a history expert. You don't even need perfect English. I'll tell this story in simple, emotional, and powerful English so you can enjoy the journey and improve your English at the same time. As you listen, you'll learn new words, discover how real stories are told in English, and connect with one of the greatest empires in human history. Part 1. The Birth of an Empire. Let's go back over 700 years. The year is 1299. The place is Anatolia, what we now call Turkey. But back then, it wasn't a country. It was divided, full of small tribes, local rulers, and constant war. The world was dangerous. People lived in fear. Cities were burning. The Byzantine Empire was collapsing. The powerful Seljuk Empire had already fallen. And from the east, the Mongols had invaded, destroying everything in their path. There was no peace. No strong leader, no one to protect the people. But from this chaos, a small tribe rose up. They had no large army, no gold, no great power, just a leader and a dream. That leader's name was Osman. He wasn't a king. He wasn't wealthy. He was a man with a few brave warriors and a big dream: to build a land where his people could live safely, proudly, and strongly. Who was Osman? Osman was born around 1258. His father, Ertuğrul, was a respected tribal chief who taught him honor, courage, and faith. After Ertuğrul passed away, Osman became the leader of the Kayu tribe. At the time, they lived near the borders of the Byzantine Empire, once a powerful Christian empire, now weak and falling apart. Osman saw an opportunity. He believed it was time for a new empire to rise, one that followed Islam, protected the weak, united Turkish tribes, and stood for justice. How did the empire begin? Osman started by attacking small Byzantine forts, one at a time. Not the big cities. He began with small victories, and after each win, more people joined him. Warriors, farmers, believers. They followed him not for money, but for meaning. They believed Osman was chosen by God to lead a new era. He didn't call himself a king. He used the title Bey, a leader of the people. But the world began to notice. The small tribe of Osman was growing stronger. Other tribes joined him. And in 1299, Osman made the most important decision of his life. He declared independence. He said, "We are not under the Seljuks. We are not under the Mongols. We are the Ottoman state, and this is our land." That was the birth of the Ottoman Empire. The name Ottoman came from Osman. It's the Western version of his name. Why is this part so important? Because in that moment, a small tribe became an empire. Not because of weapons, not because of money, but because of vision, unity, and faith. Osman didn't live to see the empire grow big. But his son, Orhan, carried the dream forward. Part 2. The Expansion, from Tribe to Kingdom After. Osman died. His son Orhan became the new leader. Orhan wasn't just a warrior, he was a builder, a dreamer, a kingmaker. He looked at what his father started and said, "This is not enough. We must go further. We must become an empire the world will never forget." Orhan's first great goal was to capture a strong, rich city, not just small forts. He found the perfect target: Bursa, a beautiful, powerful Byzantine city. It had strong walls, great wealth, and it was a major trade center. But Orhan didn't rush. He surrounded the city for years. He cut off supplies, made smart alliances, waited patiently, like a hunter in the shadows. Finally, in 1326, Bursa fell. That victory changed everything. Bursa became the first true capital of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans were no longer just a tribe. Now they were a kingdom with a capital city, money, and power. In Bursa, Orhan built mosques, schools, markets, and palaces. He wanted to show the world, we are not just fighters, we are builders of a new world. To grow even bigger, Orhan knew he needed more than soldiers. He created a powerful system, a structure that made the Ottomans stronger than any tribe before. A strong army. He formed a regular army called the Yaya. Later, he created something even more powerful, the Janissaries, explained in Part 3. A fair tax system. People paid taxes, but in return they got protection, roads, and justice. Freedom of religion. The Ottomans allowed Christians and Jews to practice their faith, as long as they respected the empire. Education and law. Orhan built Islamic schools, madrasas, trained judges, and supported scholars. The Ottomans believed an empire needs not only swords, but also wise minds. This system made people feel safe, and when people feel safe, they don't run, they join. In 1331, Orhan captured Nicaea, now Iznik, another key Byzantine city. With each victory, the Ottomans gained more land and more followers. The world began to take notice. The Byzantines were shocked. Christians in Europe were concerned. Even the Mongols started watching closely. But Orhan stayed calm. He didn't call himself Sultan. He remained humble, using titles like Bey or Ghazi, meaning warrior of Islam. But inside the empire, the name Ottoman was rising fast. People began to say, maybe these are the leaders we've been waiting for, and here's something unexpected. Orhan's son, Suleiman Pasha, crossed the sea into Europe. Yes, the Ottomans, once a small tribe, had now reached Thrace, in today's Greece and Bulgaria. They didn't come with a big war. They helped a Byzantine prince in a civil war. In return, they were given land in Europe. It was a quiet step, a soft step, but it was the start of the Ottoman expansion into Europe, a moment that would one day change all of world history, Orhan's legacy. Orhan ruled for around 35 years. When he died, he left behind a powerful capital, a strong army, a growing empire, a system of law and fairness, and land in both Asia and Europe. From Osman's dream, Orhan built something real, solid, ready for greatness. But the next generation would take it even further. And what they did, the world would never forget. Part 3. The Rise of the Sultanate. Orhan had passed, but the empire he built was just beginning. The Ottomans now had a capital in Bursa, a fair system of laws and taxes, land on 2 continents, and the loyalty of many people. But they needed something more, a true sultan, a leader who would not only protect the empire, but elevate it. That leader was Murad the Fars, the first true sultan. Murad, Orhan's son, wasn't loud or proud. He was calm, wise, and deeply strategic. But when it came to leadership, he was stronger than anyone expected. In 1362, Murad became ruler of the Ottomans. But unlike his father and grandfather, who called themselves Bey or Prince, Murad used a new title, Sultan, a leader with both worldly and spiritual authority. It was a bold move. The Ottomans were no longer just a tribe or a state. They were now a royal empire. Murad realized Bursa was too far from the European front. The Ottomans had already crossed into Europe, so he needed a new capital. He conquered Edirne, once a proud Byzantine city known as Adrianople. It became the Ottomans' second capital, and their first in Europe. Edirne was grand, filled with mosques, markets, and soldiers. It became a symbol of rising Ottoman power. But Murad knew an empire needed more than cities. It needed a mighty army. So, He created one of the most feared military forces in history, the Janissaries. These weren't ordinary soldiers. They were trained from childhood to be loyal, disciplined, and obedient, serving only one master, the Sultan. How were they formed? Many were Christian boys from conquered lands, taken young, raised in the Islamic way, trained in war, leadership, and duty. This system was called devshirme. Some criticize it today, but back then it gave these boys education, strength, and high status. Some even rose to powerful positions in the empire. They lived only for the empire, no wives, no personal property. The Janissaries became the elite, the steel heart of the Ottoman military for centuries. With this unstoppable force, Murad's empire grew. He had two capitals, strong laws, religious freedom, and now the Janissaries. Next, Murad looked west. The Balkans, Greece, Bulgaria, Serbia, Albania were weak and divided. Small kingdoms, constant wars. Murad moved fast. He captured Plovdiv, Sofia, Nicaea, and many other cities. People were shocked. "Who are these Turks?" they asked. "How are they taking everything?" The answer was simple: unity, discipline, and vision. Europe fought back. They made alliances. Hungary, Venice, even the Pope in Rome joined forces. But Murad's army was too skilled, too organized. Then came a turning point. The Battle of Kosovo, 1389. On one side, Murad and the Ottomans. On the other, a strong Christian army led by Serbian Prince Lazar. The battle was brutal. Thousands died. In the end, the Ottomans won. Serbia was crushed. The Balkans had a new ruler. But victory came with a price. Murad was killed, some say by a man pretending to surrender. It was a shocking moment. But the Ottomans were ready. Murad's son, Bayezid, rose instantly. He was fierce, quick, and brilliant in battle. They called him Yildirim, the lightning. His strikes were fast and deadly. Bayezid continued expanding. He crushed Hungary, defeated Bulgaria, and surrounded Constantinople, the heart of the Byzantine world. Whispers spread. Maybe the Ottomans really were unstoppable. Bayezid's empire grew faster than ever. He silenced rebellions, defeated kings, and pushed deep into Europe. People believed the Ottomans might soon rule the world. But then, from the east, came a storm. A man feared by all, Timur, also known as Tamerlane, a warlord from Central Asia, not a king or sultan, but a destroyer, claiming to follow Genghis Khan's legacy. Timur had already burned Baghdad, crushed Persia, and shattered kingdoms in India. Now, his eyes turned to Anatolia. Why? Because Bayezid had called himself the Sultan of Rum, the Sultan of Rome. Timur took this as an insult. Their pride clashed, their letters were filled with fire and rage, and war became inevitable. Two powerful Muslim empires, Bayezid with his mighty army, Timur with his brutal, lightning-fast force. They met near Ankara in 1402. It was hot, dusty, tension in the air. Bayezid had won many battles before, but Timur was clever. He used spies. He spread lies to turn Bayezid's allies against him. He even freed Turkish rivals of Bayezid and used them in his army. When the battle began, it was chaos. Some of Bayezid's own men betrayed him. His army broke. He was captured. Imagine it. The Sultan of the Islamic world, now a prisoner in chains. Some say Timur kept him in a cage. Others say he lived in shame with his wives. We may never know the truth. What we do know is this: the empire shattered. Bayezid died in 1403. Some say it was suicide. Others say grief. But worse was what came next. Bayezid had many sons, but no chosen heir. So they turned on each other, brother against brother, each one claiming the throne. This period, from 1403 to 1413, is called the Ottoman Interregnum, a time between kings. A civil war. Europe saw weakness and attacked. Christian kingdoms took back cities. The empire was in danger. If the Ottomans failed now, it would all be lost. Part 4. The Conquest of Constantinople. The empire was weak, confused, and broken. But after 10 years of chaos, one brother rose above the rest. His name was Mehmed I, the son of Bayezid. He was not just a fighter, he was a healer. He brought the empire back together. He defeated his brothers, stopped European invasions, rebuilt broken cities, reorganized the army, restored the government. Mehmed was not a great conqueror like his father, but he was something even more important, a savior of the empire. Without him, there would be no Ottoman Empire today. He ruled from 1413 to 1421, and when he died peacefully, the empire was stable once again. But the world didn't know the real storm was still coming. Part 5. The Fall of Constantinople after. Mehmed I, the empire lived, but it was not yet complete. It was strong. It was respected. It ruled many cities, but one city still stood like a challenge, a city of ancient power, a city of dreams, a city that had survived attacks for more than 1,000 years. That city was Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, one of the most legendary cities in history. Built by Emperor Constantine in 330 A.D. For over a millennium, it had been the center of the Christian Orthodox Church, the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire. A symbol of power, faith, and tradition, it had the strongest walls in the world. A deep moat, giant towers, surrounded by water on 3 sides. Many had tried to conquer it. All had failed. To take this city was not just about war. It was about making history. After Mehmed I, his son Murad II ruled for a time. He fought many battles and kept the empire strong. But the real fire came from his son, Mehmed II. Mehmed was only 12 when he first became sultan, too young, too inexperienced. So his father returned to the throne. But when Murad died in 1451, Mehmed became sultan again, this time at 19. He was no longer a child. He was focused. He was educated. He was strategic. And he was obsessed with one dream, to conquer Constantinople. His advisors warned him, "It's impossible. Too many armies have failed. We will lose everything." Even Europe laughed. A 19-year-old boy against a city that has survived for 1,000 years? But Mehmed didn't care. He had been studying the city since childhood. He knew its weaknesses. He believed it was his destiny. He said, "Either I will conquer Constantinople, or Constantinople will conquer me." Mehmed didn't attack blindly. He made a plan that shocked the world. He built the largest cannon the world had ever seen, designed by a Hungarian engineer named Urban. It could break even the strongest walls. He built a fortress on the Bosphorus, Rumeli Hisara, to stop ships from bringing help to the city. He gathered an army of 80,000, janissaries, cavalry, engineers, builders, and soldiers from many lands. He built a naval fleet because the city was surrounded by water. The siege began on April 6, 1453. Mehmed arrived at the city walls with his mighty army. Inside the city, the Byzantine Emperor Constantine V had fewer than 10,000 defenders. Still, they stood strong. The walls were high, thick, and legendary. The Byzantines believed God would protect them, but Mehmed was ready. For 7 long weeks, the Ottomans attacked. Cannons roared, towers and ladders rose, the ships attacked from the sea. The Byzantines fought back with Greek fire, a weapon that burned even on water. Still, the city would not fall. Mehmed became more aggressive. He did the impossible. He carried ships across land, using logs and ropes to surprise the defenders from another side. Even his enemies said, No one has ever done this before, but still, the walls held until finally, May 29th, 1453. Before dawn, Mehmed gave the final order. "We attack! All forces, all sides, now!" The soldiers moved like thunder. The cannons smashed through the wall. The Janissaries stormed in. Screams, blood, smoke. After 53 days of non-stop fighting, the city fell. Emperor Constantine XIII died in battle, like a warrior king. And then, the world gasped. Constantinople had fallen. A city that stood for over $2,100. Years was now taken by a 21-year-old Muslim ruler. Mehmed II walked into the city with tears in his eyes. He went straight to the Hagia Sophia, the greatest church in the city. He stood in silence, then he gave an order. Protect it. He didn't destroy the churches. He didn't kill the civilians. He declared, "From today, this city is ours, and it shall be called Istanbul." The people were shocked. They had feared the Ottomans, but Mehmed brought order. He gave protection to Christians and Jews. He offered freedom of worship. He gave new homes to those who had lost everything. He built mosques, libraries, schools, hospitals, palaces. He invited scholars, architects, poets. He wanted Istanbul to be the center of the world. Under Mehmed, the Ottoman Empire became a cultural, political, and military superpower. The West was shocked. The East was amazed. The Muslim world celebrated. The Ottoman Empire had now become one of the most powerful empires in history. After Mehmed II, other great sultans would rise. Suleiman the Magnificent, the lawgiver Selim the Grim, who took Egypt, Ahmed I, who built the Blue Mosque. But it was Mehmed who changed everything. His victory ended the Byzantine Empire forever. It marked the end of the Middle Ages and the start of a new world. The legacy. The Ottoman Empire lasted for more than 600 years. It ruled parts of Europe, Asia, and Africa. It gave the world art, science, architecture, and powerful leaders. And it proved something powerful. Even a small tribe, with faith, vision, and unity, can change history. Maybe this is your first time hearing their story. But now you know. The Ottomans were more than warriors. They were builders, dreamers, and leaders. They weren't perfect, but they were powerful. And just like the rise of their empire, you too can rise, even if your life feels small right now, like a forgotten tribe. With discipline, faith, and courage, you can build your own empire. This story wasn't just about kings or battles. It was about vision, belief, and never giving up. The Ottoman Empire teaches us something important. You don't need to be powerful to begin. But if you begin with purpose, you can become powerful. Just like Osman had a dream. Just like Mehmed had a mission. You too have something inside you. Maybe today your English feels weak. Maybe you feel forgotten, but never forget this. Empires rise from nothing. So can you. You didn't just watch a video today. You walked through history. You learned real English. You grew stronger, and that's something to be proud of. Now hold your head high, speak with courage, and keep going.